Hey, good morning, everybody. Glad you're able to join us today. It is Tuesday, May 16th. We've got Dave coming up next. We got Home Depot. Looks like they reported this morning. We'll talk about other things that are reporting and some other economic news here in just a second. Before we do that, let's not forget that there's so many things in this world you and we cannot control, but you can control how much risk you have in your portfolio. You just need to know what that risk is and where it should be. Give us a call, 863-382-0037. We'll have Dave up next.
105.7 Light FM. Phillip and I were trying to organize ourselves and figure out what we were going to talk about this morning. Not that there's a shortage, there's just so doggone much going on that we need to sort it through. So it is time to check in on your finances. And yes, I was riffing a little bit to give him a chance to swallow quick before we go on the air, too. It is time to check in on money and see what Wall Street's doing to us this morning. And on the telephone from Statler Financial Services is the one and the only Phillip Statler. Good morning, sir. Did I give you enough time to catch your breath?
Absolutely, man. I had my buttons ready to go. And hey, we're earnings wise, we still are kind of hit and miss, but we did have a couple come out this morning that I got through. And but you've got the big numbers when it comes to economic numbers, and that was kind of
weird.
That's just a weird deal when it comes to the retail sales.
Yeah, it really was. The government data dump this morning is national retail sales for the month of April. We expected retail sales to go up by 0.8% in April, according to one of my analysts. And what did we end up with? Only 0.4%. When you start missing by half, that's a monster-sized miss. Then you turn around and you pull out automotive and gas expenditures. Autos and gas, pull that out, and we were expecting only about a 0.2% increase in retail sales. Up by 3 times that amount, up 0.6%, which we were noodling it through and saying that really does not bode well for the automotive industry, does it, when we end up missing mostly on just the weight of slumping auto sales?
Well, yeah, it definitely is. It shows you the impact that autos can have on the retail sales. And, I was kidding before we went on the air that now that makes me wonder, okay, so when are the autos going to go on sale? Because, they've been holding out to high prices, and these interest rates are just really starting to hurt the auto industry.
Absolutely. You and we were kind of joking, but it was kind of gallows humor. I mean, all through 22 when they couldn't get chips and we were looking at pictures of parking lots just full of half-finished cars. Okay, they got chips now. Where in the heck are all the cars they're putting on sale? I know that I bought a 22 back a few months ago, and it wasn't on sale, I can tell you that, because they didn't have that many new cars in stock.
Yeah, it's the auto industry right now. It's hard to figure out what's going on there. And I don't have any kind of inside track to dealers to know what is going on, because those guys probably know exactly what's happening in that industry.
I'm not sure the dealers do either. I mean, they kind of get what they get from the manufacturers, but I'd love to know who up the food chain really does know what the Sam Hill is going on, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me at this point. It's kind of like gasoline. Don't blame the gas station. They're just selling the stuff. And the dealers are kind of looking at it and saying, we really need some more cars, and they get a response, sorry, you're on allocation. So, I don't get it. But one way or the other, I know that auto sales during the month of April really dragged down our total business as far as retail sales are concerned. Other stuff going on this morning, and you got a pile of reports to put out. The head of the big AI company, CEO of OpenAI, is going to get hauled before Congress today and going to have our dear, highly intelligent and responsible members of Congress grill him on the future of AI and the dangers they see of artificial intelligence taking over the world. Which are you more worried about, a computer or a congressman?
Yeah, you put them two together, that's going to be a problem.
I mean, that's a devil's choice to begin with. I don't trust either one of them. Do you?
No, not really. I don't. And we're gonna have to wade through and figure out how all that's going to affect us when it comes to AI. We already know how Congress affects us. It's not good.
Yeah. Normally, I mean, neither one's a particularly good influence to my mind. Kind of circling back to automotives, this doesn't really affect it on the short term, but Tesla's annual meeting is today, and one of the things that one of my little columnists was suggesting is that Musk may very well present a succession plan for Tesla that might create some news at the end of the day.
It could, and that's interesting. I hadn't really seen any headlines on Tesla, but I'm sure that with the head of Tesla, that they need to make sure that there is some type of system in place in case something happens to Elon, because I mean that would be a pretty devastating effect on that corporation. At least seemingly it would be.
It's very much a personality driven company. I mean, the quality of their product, most folks end up saying, is pretty doggone good, but Musk has so personalized Tesla as being his alter ego that if he makes an announcement that he's planning on stepping down and turning the reins over, it's going to kind of be like the upset that Microsoft went through when Bill Gates resigned his position as the CEO of the company these many, many years ago. It just kind of makes the stock market on the company go ooh-ah and go on hold or maybe sell a bit.
It does. Same thing with Starbucks, and same thing with Apple when they had those type of issues. So it is when you've got a big company like that that's in the forefront in the news all the time. When the CEO leaves or steps out or what, it does have an effect on corporate and corporate culture and all those type of things.
Absolutely. Musk is one of those polarizing figures. I mean, he's got his Amen Corner group of dedicated fans, and after getting a little more political than might be wise for a CEO to get when he bought Twitter, it's also kind of gotten him to be radioactive to a good chunk of Tesla's core constituency, because by and large, the electric vehicle fan club tends toward being a little left of center, so consequently he's become radioactive to a good chunk of his customer base. Might be interesting to see what happens to the stock if he actually does announce a succession plan.
It definitely would be, and a timetable with that succession plan too, because if it's a shorter term, then that's going to be more impactful than more of a long-term plan.
Oh, yeah. If he says 20 years from now I'm gone, we're all going to yawn and just keep on doing with the stock what we've been doing. Speaking of stocks, it is a rather busy day today. One of the headliners in the home improvement industry had a report. How did Home Depot do anyway?
Well, Home Depot, the headline I originally saw was Home Depot had the worst decline or worst miss when it comes to gross revenue in like 20 years. Yeah, they missed by $1 billion. Would you say that's a small miss?
Chump change,
Yeah, they reported 37 billion. They were expected to come in at 38 billion. And so that's hurting them. They beat earnings by 2 cents a share, but when you miss by $1 billion, I don't think beating on earnings per share really matters, right?
I kind of get that. I kind of come to the same thing. $1 billion here, $1 billion there. Eventually, it adds up to real money.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing that's really hurting them this morning is that sales were 2.7% below Wall Street expectations when it comes to same-store sales. So that seemed to be a miss as well for them. They are trading down right now almost 2.5%. And obviously that's affecting Lowe's. Lowe's doesn't report for about another week. And they're down about 2.4%. So definitely weighing down the home improvement industry.
Now, one stock goes down in a sector, it tends to drag the entire sector down. And I would imagine that economy measures only last so long with Home Depot. They better figure out a way to sell more nuts and bolts.
Oh, that's right. That's but it's going to be difficult, right? Because building is seems to be slowing down. People are, they're being a little bit more frugal because inflation and the prospects of a recession. That's that sits in folks' heads, and that determines how they spend their money.
Oh yeah. Other indications we got from the earnings season.
We don't have much actually on my tip sheet. The only other actual earnings that I have is C Limited, and that's not going to mean much to anybody here in the United States, but it is a company that is highly traded throughout the country, and they are a Singapore-based technology company, and they beat on revenue by a little bit, and then earnings per share were, I think, 15 cents above expectation. So they had a pretty good quarter, and they're trading. Well, they're actually going down right now, 5.8%. So not sure what's hitting them this morning. Doesn't really show my report, but that's really all I have on the earnings front. But I do want to mention this: Capital One is getting a nice bump this morning, thanks to Warren Buffett. Berkshire Hathaway took a huge new position in Capital One, investing $950 million. And so, yeah, they're up 6.5% this morning.
So we aren't going to hear any fancy pants worries about Capital One having a run anytime soon, huh?
It doesn't sound like it. Sounds like they got plenty of money now.
The week is going to continue. Give us some good indications, because tomorrow we got a boatload of big ones like TJ Maxx and Target and a bunch of other retail coming out. So we're going to have a pile of information, and we're also going to end up getting home builder sentiment a little later on today, and an industrial production figure a little later on this morning after we get done. So there's going to be some market moving stuff coming on later on today as well.
Yeah, and we got housing starts. We got housing starts coming out tomorrow as well, and permits.
Yes.
And I know we didn't talk about this, but I did want to mention this real quick. China. I don't know if you saw the headline, but their economic numbers came in worse than expected in both and I think it was industrial production and their overall maybe it was retail sales, but they both missed substantially in that economy over in China.
And that impresses our investors on this side of the pond not a bit either. Setting the table up, it was a very modest day yesterday. The VIX, we were talking before we went on the air, the volatility index, down toward lows for the last few years, is really down. And that's with good reason. The Dow only gained 0.14%. It was up 48 yesterday. Standard & Poor's up by 12.5. NASDAQ had the big gainer. It was up 0.66%, up 80. And the Russell 2000, actually percentage-wise, they were the best, over 1%, up by 21. 45 minutes before we open this morning, can we keep a positive trend going, Phillip?
Not going to happen, at least not at the open, Dave. We've got the Dow down about 0.3. The S&P 500 is down 0.25 point, as well as the NASDAQ 100 down 0.25. The Russell 2000 is trying to give back part of what it got yesterday, down 0.7% this morning. And your VIX, it's up 1.3% this morning. So going the wrong direction. Silver's down 0.6, gold's down 1/3. And crude oil is flat from its close yesterday. I think it's up from where we started, though, yesterday morning. $71.11 a barrel right now for oil.
Take that. That's relatively stable from yesterday anyway. I mentioned the VIX, even 20 would still be right at the low end of the range it's been for the last 5 years. So just kind of nice to not see those 1,000-point swings in the Dow every day, isn't it?
It definitely is. It definitely is.
A little predictability would be nice. Overseas markets, the Asian Rim kind of responded to the China data that you put out. The mainland Chinese markets down by 0.6%. Everything was a little bit in the red. European markets, looking at our futures, most of them are up fractionally midway through their day so far today. Looking at planning a retirement, China can affect you. You can't do that and actually plan on retiring when things are that far away can mess with your plans. How do I find you to be able to stabilize my retirement plans?
Then give us a call at 863-382-0037. We developed our core retirement design to help folks design the retirement they always dreamed of. And then you can catch the Statler Financial Radio Show this weekend, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning, on Highlands News Talk 730 and 95.3 FM.
And you and me together again tomorrow morning about the same time here on Light. You have a good day, my friend, and I'll see you then.
All right, man. You too.
Thanks, Phillip. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. Have a great day. Join us again tomorrow, same place. Until then, have a great one.